Well, happy Saturday, everyone. Welcome to the Note Show. Today, I've got Maurice Thomas and Alden Guajardo. I pronounce your last name for me.
Guajardo.
I was kind of in the right zone. But the topic today, and Maurice suggested this topic, is how interest rates affect real estate investing. And, we've had on both sides of the border, Canada and the US, interest rates have been going up and up and up, in order to sort of help with inflation. Now, Canada's had a recent drop, and I don't know if the US is the interest rates are going to drop, but I guess whether it's going up or whether it's going down, what I guess the discussion today is how that affects real estate investing.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great topic. This year, it being an election year, is important to understand the dynamics of what could come to fruition with different elected officials. Uh, I heard a lot in transition of commercial real estate interest rates and how obviously on commercial financing, those loans are done on like a 5-year balloon. And a lot of those are coming due. Well, during COVID, uh, we saw the lowest interest rates we've like ever seen, 3-4% mortgages. Well, when you acquire a cash flowing asset, whether it by be multifamily or whatever the asset may be, and you have to go to the table and refinance now 5 years later, where the numbers may have worked originally at a 3-4% mortgage. Now, obviously, rates have increased, doubled into like 7-8%, and that obviously doesn't make sense financially. So I think that there's going to be a lot of potential opportunity for acquisitions on commercial properties because the lack of cash flow on the pre-existing low interest rates. I'm not sure if you guys have seen anything to that fact. Maybe you could add some color to that.
No, those are like great call outs here. Great call outs as it relates to like the impact. One of the things that I have been paying attention to is the Georgia market itself. His team
Oh,
actually did a yes, his team actually did some his foundation actually did some research around like credit scores and different things of that nature. So when you were speaking, it just made me think about one of the things that stood out is around like the credit scores and the interest rates and things are becoming due, those balloon payments and different things of that nature. But it made me think about John Hope Bryan. I'll go back to that. But most importantly, Georgia Tech, they actually just did a study here in the Atlanta metro area. Um, I would say I'm trying to think of the numbers. I think they said minorities in Atlanta have lost over 1.2 billion in home assets, by selling to corporations. And the reason why I think it's an uptick, or not so much just a uptick, is that the market itself is changing, and investors who are getting new into the market, they're having these high interest rates where they're not able to make a big spread when it comes to renting the properties and different things of that nature. But those 10 corporations, they own 30 plus, yeah, about 30,000 plus, homes in the Atlanta metro area. And again, that study was done by Georgia Tech, so it's floating out there, so you can actually see the market. But it all boils down to economics, like Alden said there, election years, COVID, when people were actually getting those homes at pennies to dollars, printing free money at that point. Uh, but going back to John Hope Bryan here real quick, and I'm gonna punt it back to you there, Alden, here in one moment. Um, yeah, he actually said something real profound around credit scores, around different neighborhoods and lifespans. He touched on people who are in neighborhoods of like 700 credit scores or better. They actually have a lifespan of 82 years or more. 75% of those people own their homes. Not only that, the total opposite of people who have like a 580 credit score or below, about 25% of those individuals actually own their home. And then the average lifespan is 62 years or below. But it goes back to what Alden was saying around, the economics itself. Businesses target those neighborhoods. When you think about it collectively, or how money works or how money flows, it just depends on who you're speaking to. We're not saying we're some financial gurus or anything of that nature, but when you understand money and how it actually flows and where it goes, you can look at how businesses target different neighborhoods. For example, in those 580 credit score neighborhoods, you'll see those those payday events type of businesses. You'll see a lot of franchise restaurants centered around fried chickens and different things of that nature. Whereas, when you get in those 700 credit scores, they're paying attention to what they digest. They're paying attention to what they eat. They're paying attention to what's in their community, the exposure. Speaking of those communities, 90% of those individuals who, attend high school, they actually graduate. And those individuals who are in the 580 credit score, I think the numbers were around 60% of those individuals actually don't graduate, attending school for whatever reason. But the point is, the credit scores, the interest rates, everything kind of go hand in hand, and having access to capital, or just being on the opposite end where you're actually selling your home as well, can be something where I think people need to pay attention to. But I did a lot of talking. Let me punt it back over to my guy Alden there.
Yeah, no, there's a war going on the middle and lower class. It's a financial warfare ever since like 2018, since Open Door started entering into the acquisition of single family properties, and the bloodshed that was had during COVID with the stock market, and the individuals that tipped their hat to the Open Door strategy, like BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, and ended up wanting to own 40% of residential properties, creating now new lifelong renters, it's happening. It's happening today, and they may own already 40%. Is that possible? It may be. With the largest institutions being really kind of one company, they're all owning majority share in each other's companies. So it's really just a mega corporation that's conducting financial warfare on the middle and lower class. And that presents potential opportunities, unfortunately, for those payday loans and title loans and things of that nature in those impoverished areas. So it's obviously good to look at the overall financial well-being of the economic market currently, but also try and get a little bit ahead of the game. And obviously, we're seeing that incomes haven't kept up with housing or rental rates, as well as there's more credit card debt right now that's building. So all of those things, in mind, are you going to go out and invest in luxury single family flip, or things of that nature? It's important to understand the market and how interest rates can affect an investment strategy. So it's that being said, that's why we created the fund, Silvercrest Opportunity Fund, and that's hedging the market in manufactured housing and affordable home ownership programs, providing some note hypothecation in the affordable housing market. Well, what's going on right now? There's a state of emergency for housing, literally, across the country, because the big three have priced people out of residential ownership. It provides that additional diversification in knowing that things are highly unaffordable, and there's obviously a lot of questions in the market with it being an election year. But affordable housing is here to stay at the end of the day, no matter who the president is going to be. And if you don't take my word for it, follow in the footsteps of the big three, who are buying mobile home parks at a high equity multiple, as well as Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is owner of 21st Mortgage and Clayton and Cavco, 21st Mortgage did 90% of the manufactured home loans last year on personal property mobile homes, which is the final frontier of affordable housing, really. And Clayton and Cafco are the two largest manufacturers of mobile homes. And with the interest rates in mind, and it being an election year, what better way to additionally diversify, knowing that there's volatility in interest rates, into an asset that's in a realm of real estate, but is technically personal property, and it's in a market that is in high need of this affordable housing, as well as it provides that structured rate of return that's non-fluctuating, and it's a longer term note. So with commercial investment strategies, you have to look at the 5-year program and, okay, are we going to increase the fix the deferred maintenance and remodel the property, and at the end of the day hopefully run a financial model where you can exit at an equity multiple. But if you're under the gun and have to refinance and there isn't an equity multiple in there, you end up having either to do a capital call to your capital investors, or they take a haircut. That's a challenge right now.
Absolutely.
I've got a bit of a Canadian perspective here, because we have, I think, both sides of the border. There's a housing shortage and affordability problem. And like I might joke about Vancouver is $500,000 will buy you a really nice chicken coop, but the challenge I think with it is that, basically it's construction. People are building houses as fast as possible. The government at all levels are encouraging it, but the interest rates, I think, means it's harder for builders too, because if, unless they've got the money in their pocket, the interest rates make it less feasible for them to actually do the developing. So it affects everything, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what are your biggest costs in real estate and development? Is the interest, right? So the capital cost, the labor and material. Well, labor is at an all-time high, and the cost of material was disrupted because of COVID and the delays in shipping across the world. So that's a perfect storm for it being in the state of emergency for housing, especially in my local market here in Arizona. And I'm not sure about nationally, but I know during COVID that they weren't even issuing permits for about 6 to 9 months for new builds. So you couldn't even build a new property. And I talked to an inspector who does commercial and residential properties. I go to a weekly networking meeting, Business Network International, and he mentioned that all the contractors that he knows are sitting at home. No one's not, I don't want to say nobody, but there's not a lot of people that are taking on that risk and going and building right now single family properties in my local market. I don't know about maybe if you could touch Maurice in Atlanta or possibly in Canada. You said that they're building over in Canada right now.
Absolutely. So here in Georgia, and what I know for sure is in Georgia and Texas, because I ideally want to relocate to Texas here. So I've been watching the market, but like Greg started, with the construction and development, of these new development projects in Texas, is individuals who are new to the community. Let's say you about one of the first 10 people in a developer community. Because of the interest rates and everything that's going on, it looks like, when they look, you can type in, and then you can actually search as well, different disgruntled homeowners who actually just got into their home within the last 6 to 8 months, and construction has stopped because of those interest rates. But here in Georgia, it has been an uptick, and I'm not sure if it's because of a lot of people are migrating to the area. But like I said, even with those 10 major corporations that own 30K plus homes in the Atlanta metro area, it has created a market, kind of like what Alden said, as it relates to affordable housing. So that's kind of like where Nadia and I came up with the shared living model outside of our group home. So we do have like a shared living model where we tailor to those individuals who don't have access to having a first month's coupled with last month's rent and a security deposit, because
Right.
those it's it's intense. Some of the things that they're asking for, and you can kind of just tell even when you go to look at like the postings on Zillow or Trulia or wherever you go to look at those postings. They are sitting for some time because they don't have quality renters, because of the backgrounds and the credit checks and the extensive list that they actually have, was kind of opened up the shared model that we have here. But Greg, I'm gonna put it back to you. How are things looking in the construction development area? I know you kind of touched on it, but has it stopped much, or do you see an uptick?
Oh no, there's tons of construction everywhere, but I've heard of projects that have stalled because of the funding issue, and Alden mentioned there's a shortage of qualified contractors, really.
Mhm.
And I used to, I used to drive a limo service, and one of our clients was one of the biggest real estate developers, and then he had somebody else in the car, and they're just chatting. He says it's almost impossible to get a good crew these days that
Yeah,
can
that's
build at the level of quality that it needs to be.
for sure. And
Yeah,
them not get arrested on the weekends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's
no, that,
construction.
that's a great call out. I have one of my partners. She actually has quite a few acres outside of Athens, Georgia, and I had an opportunity to kind of drive up there maybe about 3 weeks. It's been about 3 weeks ago, and I met with Lori, and we were looking at the mobile homes that she actually placed on the land. And come to find out that is 10 minutes from Athens, Georgia, which I'm born and raised in Ohio, so go Buckeyes. But I never knew how close or how far her mobile homes were from Athens, Georgia, which was about 10 minutes. And one of the things she thought about was renting to college students. And I said, but the point is, the affordable housing piece is something that's something that's mission critical that's going on here in Georgia right now. But one of the things I want to say with Lori, one of the interesting things is you're looking for someone to kind of like power wash and reskirt the mobile homes. I'm going through a learning curve here, Alden, and grade learning the mobile home space. And when I tell you, we have different people that kind of reach out to us, say, "Hey, I could do the job. I could do X, Y, Z. I need this up front," it's like, "Tell me, what have you done? Can I see a portfolio?" I don't really know how to even vet these guys, but the point is, some of the things that they're asking for is kind of hilarious. Hey, I need half of everything up front, or you know, it, I'll just say this: that is interesting to hear how construction and how these individuals are demanding, um, the work that's needed for her mobile homes for placement and different things of that nature. So maybe I can get her. Maybe I get her to come on and kind of give an outlook of like how things are progressing and different things of that nature. But I digress. Um, yeah.
So remember the Money Pit with Shelley Long, and I can't remember, that was probably Tom Hanks or something. It was, and
Um,
they bought this old beat up old house, and then the Shirk brothers came, and they wanted to $5,000 check and a bottle of scotch before they'd even talk to them, and then and then a bunch of bikers came, completely destroyed the house, and they said, well, you need a permit, and then that of course it was their cousin.
mhm.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a challenge. That's why I like the hypothecation model with notes and note investing. You're not having to take the additional risk associated with scheduling with contractors
Yeah.
and worrying about sliding interest rates. Maybe you're on a variable rate DSCR loan or something like that. But Maurice, I'm not sure. Have you heard of pad split before?
Yes. Pad split, um, hot pads, roomies. There's so many out there, and They all, like I said, they're all great leads. And when you speak to these individuals, you can kind of hear, the, what they're trying to do when it comes to their short-term and long-term goals. So one of the things that Nadia and I do, we don't do background checks and we don't do credit checks. Of course, we take a peek at it, so we can see their habits. However, when we sit down with them and have those conversations around short-term and long-term goals, here's what we can do for you. Here's how we can help you. And when they sit down, they understand why we are doing what we're doing. So, for example, in 6 months or so, one of our individuals, his credit score went up 60 points by us just reporting his monthly payments for him. So now he's
Nice.
in a better situation where he can go and apply for a credit card, or he can go and get a better interest rate for a vehicle that he may need, or whatever it may be. But we have been very intentional. In fact, we have been so intentional. I kind of spoke on John Hope Bryant. He has a book out called Financial Literacy for All, and that's something that we hand to them, Alden and Greg. And the reason why is because we want to get that mindset shift. And it kind of goes back to what Alden is saying. What individuals who are kind of new to investing or unaccredited investors, they don't know where to park their money. There's so many things going on in the world as it relates to. We know that real estate is the number one investment when it comes to building wealth here in the States. So, you don't have individuals who can go out and have a good credit score or whatever it may be to actually purchase their first home. So it kind of goes back to what you're saying. They're leveraging those CR loans and different things of that nature. But getting them ready for that, getting them ready for the mindset shift, understanding how money works. What are bankers looking for? What are these banks looking for as it relates to you getting yourself in a situation where you can't afford housing, and even
Right.
taking a step further around education in general. A lot of people are, um, it's not that they can't afford college. It's just that college is becoming one of those things where people, especially the generation after me, and I'll just say my age. I'm 39, so the couple generations after me, they're not even looking at education as a serious thing. And even some of the Fortune 500 companies are, taking off the requirement for college degrees. So even then, individuals who are looking to, get into the STEM fields and different things of that nature, understanding how to finance your future, going to take out all these loans and find yourself in a situation where 5 to 8 years down the road, now you're in a situation where you're not in your career that you attended, coupled with, you got this massive debt, and now you can't ever put yourself in to get your first home, so just being preemptive and having those kind of conversations is something. Even like we have a 21-year-old, and I'm gonna punt it back to you, Greg. We have a 21-year-old in our house, and when he came to us, we tend to stay away from anybody 32 and under, because they still trying to figure out this thing called life. They party, they kind of do.
Yep.
But with him, he was totally different. He kind of said, "Hey, man, I really just want to get out on my own. I don't want to be my uncle's house any home anymore. Different things of that nature." And when I tell you, the guy has been a A1 tenant, since like February. He's very mature. You can kind of just tell that he has someone that kind of modeled the behavior when it comes to financial responsibility. Even when it comes to reporting his rent, he was like, "Hey, yes, that's cool for to report my rent. However, what about this or what about that?" You can just tell when it comes to those kind of conversations. But going back to what Alden had kind of stated, like he has the Silvercrest Opportunity Fund, having those funds where it's available for individuals, or even pivoting and looking at more of a hypothecation type opportunities. That's something that Greg and I had to.
Oop, we got a bit of a freezing here.
This, we call it the summer school mortgage note series that we
Yeah,
actually going to
yeah.
put on, for new and accredited unaccredited investors. And Alden, I would love for you to possibly be a part of that as well. So maybe
Yeah.
I'll get some more information on that. But
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Greg. Alden.
No, I was just going to say about your 21-year-old. Like my son is insanely responsible and frugal. He actually, I have friends who quit school in grade 10 and now they're comfortably retired and happy, right? I did
Nice.
30 years of hard education and, and I'm never going to retire. But my son, he made a profit in his academic career. And then he and his wife, who's also very frugal, they just bought a house in Montreal recently. But Yeah, they never spent any money on anything they didn't need to do, and they would have been the most responsible tenants for your housing.
Yeah, no, the education topic and student loan debt is really big. And I think that like the younger generations, the millennials, the Gen Zs, and the Gen Xs are kind of turning a little bit and getting a little bit smarter. Not so much by not attending college, but I think they're getting smarter about the realisticness of actually making money in what they're studying in, as well as going to some more alternative, like becoming a master electricians and GCs and things of that nature. But the non-ability to file for bankruptcy with student loan debt and have that go away if you were ever to fall in hard times, that's trillions of dollars in debt in this country. And I think more now than ever, like I said, people are kind of finding alternatives to subvert that large debt load at a young age to ultimately, obviously, be afforded home ownership, as well as maybe even build a small business while they're, building their credit or whatever it may be. But that's a big deal, that student loan debt is a tragedy.
It is. Maurice mentioned financial literacy. I've been talking to a few people. The time for financial literacy is probably in high school and earlier. You start building some habits early, and people wouldn't get on the wrong side of compound interest as much if they knew how it worked. And like my son made money as he was going through university, and when he was doing his master's and PhD, he got paid for being a teacher's assistant. But then he was frugal, so he ended up making a profit on his education. but so many don't. And the other thing is, I think they go because their parents say they should or whatever. But most fields, like I've got a degree in English literature, so and philosophy, which is very valuable to me. But I never ever expected that was going to generate money for me. Sure. So a technical, like the town we're in here has a Nicola Valley Institute of Technology, which is run by the First Nations, and it's all trades, like cooking school, building and things. And they've got somebody told me about it. I have to confirm it, but they were going to do a project to build mini homes and learn how to build mini homes, and then probably have a place in the valley for the mini homes. So there's a lot of practical things. Like I would think if you were in the trades, it's a pretty good place to be at this point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a scarcity in the market of skilled tradesmen. I think I brought up a couple Saturdays ago, that the average age of like even just contractors alone, general contractors, has approached like 45 years old, when historically, that's a pretty seasoned GC. 45, they've been around the block. You would think people would be trying to fill that gap, seeing as obviously there's a big need for construction and things of that nature. But that just goes to show, the shortage of skilled labor is having a big toll on the market and on, construction alone. And that affects affordable housing and the lack thereof, because there's not all that many options, and the interest rates are higher and income hasn't kept up. It's a challenge.
Wow, Alden, you said some maybe about 5 minutes ago that kind of just had me pretty much pondering on it, which is you can't discharge the credit, you can't discharge the student loan debt, and that's something that that I have been helping one of my tenants around, wrapping his head around that. And to me, I try to make sure, again, it's the mindset, shift that he actually needs to have. So most importantly is hey, you have student loans. However, it's a part of your credit profile. And not only is it part of your credit profile, you have been paying on time for 6 to 8 years. that means you're, reliable as it relates to how your finances, how you actually work with your finances. It makes a healthy credit profile. But the point is, not being able to discharge that debt, especially individuals. And I love how Greg kind of stated what he attended school, and he was able to capitalize on that as well. I always stress STEM, the STEM field, something where you can go and to be able to, I hate to say it, go work for a Fortune 500 company. But kind of like you said, Alden and Greg, having some kind of trade is mission critical, especially if you want to start your own business. What is it, 2 or 3 years where you do like an apprenticeship? And then not only that, you build relationships, so that's not including any type of, let's just say your what they say, your network is your net worth, so that eventually, hopefully, you can scale and start a small business where you're not able, but where you're able to actually hire individuals, or you're actually able to, be a mentor, or someone come underneath you for apprenticeship. And man, 45 years old is the average. Like I didn't know that statistic. Great call out. Great call out.
Yeah, no, it's definitely telling of what's going on in the industry. And but yeah, on the fact of student loan debt and coming out of college and having to try and establish oneself with high living costs and high rental rates and high interest rates and high purchase prices, it's like getting hit from every side. It's like Rocky Balboa.
Absolutely.
But that being said, that's why, again, Silvercrest Opportunity Fund ties into all of that, providing a solution for an individual or new family, possibly coming out of college, wanting to establish oneself, and having some student loan debt. Well, with in our local market here, it's tough for an individual that fits that criteria to save money in a high rental rate program, right? It's
hmm
it's a challenge when when your rent's half of what you make, and you're
hmm
still having to, buy milk and eggs that are high.
hmm
Those are all a challenge. And I'm saying that because manufactured housing provides an individual that fits that criteria the opportunity to match market rent and build equity, whereby, be it if they were trying to save money in a rental for 5 to 10 years, they wouldn't be able to save as much as build equity in a mobile home of 5 to 10 years. They may be able to pay it off for the same they pay in market rent. Now they got a $50,000 exit in a 5 to 10 year program of a home that we had financed for them. Well, they can buy now a single family property, possibly depending on their income. And when they built a business coming out of college or establishing oneself after getting that diploma for whatever trade or specific market they're trying to get involved in. But that I love that fact that it provides now an opportunity for an individual that would have been left out of the conversation prior to get home ownership and fulfill and establish oneself, knowing they have high student loan debt, and
hmm
banks are having a challenge qualifying individuals because of the lower income, and they're not established. They may have less than perfect credit. That's manufactured housing. That's personal property, mobile homes, depending on the market. It's in my personal market here. But that's one of the biggest things I'm seeing in the humanitarianism behind the strategy of creating homeowners and helping individuals move forward and establish themselves, whether it be a new family, they may have just had a kid and they need that third bedroom, or
hmm
whatever it may be. Those are all important factors. And that's why, again, Silvercrest Opportunity Fund and the hypothecation of the notes that we originate to these qualified individuals is such, I think it's one of the most explosive opportunities here in the top 10 market of Arizona, because of the financial market, where student loan debt's at, and how
hmm
the shortage of available housing here in my market of Arizona and across the country. Really, this model doesn't work for every market, but with a high amount of people, high population in a single area, and people still moving to that market, that's a perfect storm for manufactured housing, and provides that much higher level of a hedge in the market, because where it fits for an end user, the buyer, as well as the investor. So we provide a hypothecation program. What's hypothecation? That's pledging an asset in order to garnish capital investment on the notes. So we'll hypothecate a note that we created and helped Johnny May out of college, and he bought a house, and our capital investor had a satisfactory return on an asset-backed strategy, and had a give back in the market and outpaced inflation, with interest rates in mind and all kinds of different hats of an investor may wear at any given time, from looking at multifamily to investing in notes to trying to buy SFR. The give back and the hedge I see with this strategy, and the note hypothecation providing that much more risk mitigation within that strategy, because you have a verifiable partner, who may have originated the note. That's really checks a lot of boxes with what's going on currently, as well as what an investor is wanting in the market. You want a solid return, right? We all want a return, and we want to make sure that our risk is mitigated. Yes, there's risk in every strategy at the end of the day, and that's why there's a profit at the end of the road, hopefully. But that being said, I think that that's what I'm seeing.
Absolutely.
I really love that you're helping with the housing availability and the affordable housing, and also providing a good opportunity for mailbox money and passive investing. So it's really a win-win-win situation in many ways.
Absolutely. And anyone that's because we stream to multiple platforms here. Anyone that's interested, well, I will just encourage you to kind of reach out to Alden here as it relates to the opportunity here. What they have is truly unique in the market, and if you are new to this space, you would definitely want someone like Alden and his team to kind of hold your hand and show you the ins and outs on how to look at the investments, how to price them, and different things of that nature. But the most important piece is they do everything for you. If you haven't, I want to encourage you to kind of go back, and maybe 2 or 3 Saturdays ago, he touched on it. And if anything went over your head, like I said, Greg and I are looking to, we will come out with a summer school mortgage note series to actually help you learn the industry jargon. And it's going to be for new unaccredited investors or people who just are looking to kind of park their money in another safe vehicle, very similar to what Alden and his team is doing.
Fabulous. And Maurice and I are going to talk some more about this, but what I have in mind are things like you and James and Alden could contribute some things to this, just the education of the whole industry. And speaking of education, I want to go back. Maurice mentioned STEM. So just in case people don't know what that is, that's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And really, if you're interested in going to higher education, that's a good route, because with AI and all sorts of things, there's some really good paying jobs there.
Absolutely.
Probably more than being a stand-up philosopher.
Absolutely. And this might be this might be a plug, shameless plug here. And a university that I work for, Western Governors University, is a good university for you if you're looking to kind of save money. They actually have some truly unique programs. Even like myself, I'm in the College of IT, supporting the cybersecurity program and the computer science program. I'll just say that check into Western Governors University, their online programs. Definitely save you a lot of money. Looking at 2.5, 3 years. Most students get a 4-year program done in 18 to 24 months, and it save you pennies of dollars. I don't want to quote the money out there because different programs have different price points, but on average, you're spending about 3,500, for a 6-month interval for you to go and do unlimited classes. So you can just imagine if you have some downtime or you have some capacity or bandwidth, where you can kind of just get through these courses. And not only that, as you matriculate through the courses themselves, you actually have leading edge certifications. So in the cybersecurity program, one of the programs that I support, you have 10 certifications. So you can immediately take, an A+ certification, a Net Plus or Security Plus certification, add it to your LinkedIn and your resume, add it to your LinkedIn profile and your resume, and actually start looking and scoring some different opportunities. And even then, maybe go out and do some freelance work on Fiverr and different websites of that nature. So, like I said, there's so many things out there as it relates to um, opportunities for you to kind of learn. I like STEM, but I love what Greg said as it relates to his background as well. You can see what Greg does now. Greg, why don't you tell everybody what you do?
Well, one of the things I do is I help people publish books and market books and market anything really. I have our total traffic and conversion collaboration is purely about marketing, and it could be almost anything. We're niching down on some real estate investing and also dentists, but really what we're doing can apply to anything. And the publishing thing is I've got a multimedia background, video, books. I've got a degree in English literature, so I've done a lot. I've read a lot, and the fun thing about that is we don't know who's going to walk in the door. We've published books on somebody killing ghosts with a guitar, with a Stratocaster. The funny thing
Wow.
is, the author keeps on getting invited to these paranormal conventions, and he doesn't believe in it at all. I have a hard time believing that he would write a book on this without even believing in any of it. But
Wow.
there we go. And then other people who in various industries. That's how Paul Levine's been on the show here. He came to us as a book client, so we helped him write and publish the Bible of real estate. So that's how he ended up. And then he wanted to get on podcasts, so we started doing broadcasts on Thursdays, and he's been on here a couple of times. Now I think he's trying to go find a new wife, but that's another story.
That's tough to find nowadays.
Yeah, I love what Alden doing when it comes to capturing his speaking engagement and putting that information out so people can actually see him real time in these different spaces, meeting with individual and changing lives. So he does a great job of capturing that. And Greg, like yourself as well, Greg helped me build my back office when it comes to our nonprofit and our for-profit portion of our group homes and shared living space, and he actually built my website as well as it relates to TIG Legacy, where everyone knows that. But yeah, great, Alden, great job, guys.
Yeah, now, this is fun, and we should call this the Opportunity Show, really.
Love it. Yeah, you guys said so many things. My brain's just bing, 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 going back and forth. But yeah, education is important, and associations and conferences and networking. That keeps you involved with other individuals that are boots on the ground and have actual analytics, opposed to going to Zillow and checking stuff out like that. So that's really important. Greg, I would love to delve further into a mobile mailbox money book on creating notes on mobile homes. Definitely would like to talk to you about that at a later date. But yeah, I attended multiple conferences that were really good over the past year or 2 years, and associations. Just some off the top to ramble off was like Paper Source. Unfortunately, that they're not having that anymore. Diversified Mortgage Expo was great. That's real estate note investing. The Note Expo, Eddie Speed's event. And then I'm a part of Arizona Real Estate Investors Association here in Arizona. And I'm told that it's the largest real estate investment association in the country. So that's pretty big. Would love to have anybody come visit one of the meetings. Let me know. Would love to meet you out there. But also Business Network International, which it's a little off-putting to a lot of people, depending on what they have to offer. But I've seen real fruit from the labor in behind the modus operandi in Business Network International, and that's referral network strategy and association. But those were just a few, and they've all been instrumental in my growth, as well as being able to accurately portray why what you have to offer is a great idea and proposition because of the analytics behind it and the relationships and talking in different markets of what's going on and tapping people in associations and conferences and the education and I'd encourage anyone that's watching to attend, to go out to an association, go out to a conference. And, education is key. It's an ever-changing market at the end of the day. And that's why I like the book program. So I'd really like to do that, Greg. We'll have to seriously talk about that.
That'd be perfect. And also, I've been saying it's on my list of things to do is to do a post on the Note Center website about all those things that you mentioned. The Diversified Notes Expo and all those good places to go. And actually, when you guys were talking about your travel adventures, I was thinking there's an opportunity to get somebody to charter an airplane that would have saved you sleeping in an airport overnight, right?
Man, it was bad. It was really bad. We were almost not going to make it. We made the DME within like an hour of our an hour of our breakout room, which we paid good money to have to go to the event and to be a sponsor. We almost didn't make it, and that would have been one on the chin to take for sure.
Yeah, no, that would have been tough. Bonnie and I ended up sleeping on the floor in the Chicago airport recently, and it was cold and hard.
Yeah,
that was our scheduling problem, but it's a bit of a challenge. It's why like people like Dan Kennedy won't fly commercial. You never know what's going to happen, and it seems to me it's happening even more and more now.
100%. They've been kind of changing how they're like scheduling routes and stuff. I know behind the scenes, like American Airlines has extreme issues at any given time because of how they set up transfers from specific cities. And like that happened to happen when we went to DME and it wiped out like half of the East Coast from American Airlines. And then you got this Boeing situation going on. Who knows really what's going on with Boeing at the end of the day.
Right.
But that creates a challenge in that industry and, the ease of transportation, as well as, the capital cost of those companies having to, figure that out when business is still running at the end of the day.
Yeah. I got a free night stay in Newark, New Jersey because of a delay out of Vancouver. I was telling Bonnie, we were walking through the airport, and I said there are a lot of really nice places in New Jersey. Newark is not one of them. And somebody heard and laughed and said, "Well, you can check this one off your list."
Interesting conversation today around interest rates and how everything kind of aligns. Everything is economics.
Everything is economics, and it's sense of humor helps really. So with a lot of this stuff. But I really like what you guys are doing, Alden, and also Maurice. Both in your own way, you're helping out with the housing challenges and affordability and all those things. And let's go put our heads together and put out some educational stuff for people.
Not to paint over or forget about. Would love to be included in that summer note education platform that you have going on. Would love to be included.
Nice.
Okay. So anyway, I guess we've digressed enough.
A lot. It
So-
feels like if you feel like you're drinking from a fire hose, go back and watch this again. You know, there's a lot of gems that are dropped at any given time. Take a moment to kind of look at what's going on in the market. And, you know, I'll take my time here real quick. So mobile mailbox money provides unaccredited investors the opportunity to acquire notes on manufactured housing, providing additional diversification in a volatile market. And then we started Silvercrest Opportunity Fund. So I'm president of Silvercrest Opportunity Fund, and we capitalize on affordable housing, which is like a state of emergency right now. So that's providing note hypothecation, so risk mitigated strategy backed by an asset and a satisfactory return with a capital partner on boots on the ground. As well as going after mobile home parks for a debt and equity strategy. So if you're looking to diversify your portfolio, I got a raving review from Maurice. Thanks for that. But that's silvercrestopportunityfund.com, mobilemailboxmoney.com, and appreciate Greg Dixon for having me on the channel today.
Well, that's perfect. That's a great place to stop. And thank you.
Absolutely.
Go enjoy the rest of your weekend and have fun. Yeah, and yeah, reach out and contact any of us. Like Alden just has what he just mentioned, just tremendous opportunities for
Absolutely. Hands down.
Mailbox money.
Bam, bam, bam.
Bam, bam, bam.
Thanks,
All
folks.
right.
All right. Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
All right.
Later.